Hello, everybody. It's Jake Senzano, host of Jake and Gino podcast here with my co-host, the multifamily mentor, the coach, chef, the father, six, the best-selling author, the G-Day. Gino Barbaro. Gino, how's it going?
Jake, I'm doing good, brother. How you doing?
Always making it happen, big man. Today's guest is a dynamic entrepreneur, investor, and best-selling author dedicated to empowering business owners through innovative wealth strategies. As the founder of Producers Wealth, I like the hat, by the way. It's looking cool. He enhances financial well-being across the United States of America, while his educational platform, Cashflow Ninja, I've seen that logo too, kind of Ninja Gaiden-esque, really cool, has influenced over 7 million people globally. So, without further ado, MC Laubscher, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back, guys. Great to see you. It's been a long time. It's been an honor knowing you guys. I was trying to figure out how long have I known you guys. It's like 8+ years, and following your journey and looking what you're up to. So,
well, apparently you and Gino hang out at wineries when I'm not around, so I don't even know half of it. I mean, we had you on the show probably 2018, 2016, back in the way back. Probably it was Skype. Probably back then. It's changed. It's changed a few times since then. But so for the folks that aren't familiar with you, just give us a brief overview, and then tell me what's been going on with the Cashflow Ninja since then, and give us a brief update.
Yeah, no, would love to. So, my name is MC Laubscher. So, originally born in South Africa. So that's not a Pennsylvanian accent. So, came to the U.S. 25 years ago. Backpack, suitcase, a couple of $100, sense of humor, sense of adventure. Looking to have some fun. I played in a sports league up until 2007 over here, and when I
the NBA?
No, no, a rugby player. But while I was doing that, I just started investing. That's when my investing career started. So I tried to figure out to build something on the side to retire to, and I was done just pursuing my career in sports. So as I was doing that, just playing, reading, studying, and investing, and then eventually that ended. I started a couple of businesses, failed miserably, and continue with the real estate investing. And as I was doing the real estate investing, where cash flow was a central theme, I added becoming my own banker to that mix. So cash flow, becoming your own banker, and that kind of accelerated my journey as an investor and building out that real estate business. And then in 2015, I started a company called Producers Wealth, where the mission is to elevate the well-being of business owners and their family too. We specialize in infinite banking and other advanced life insurance strategies. And then I was interviewing so many interesting clients and interesting people doing amazing things that I decided to turn it into a podcast. And that was end of 2016, 2017, the Cashflow Ninja was born. Just interviewing the best minds of business and investing around the world, sharing everything in business and investing, from cash flowing real estate all the way to, how do you grow your capital with fine Scottish whiskey, and that's been a blast. We've been over 1,000 episodes and reached a lot of people around the world. So we've done some educational content and courses and that kind of stuff, and books with that company too. But where it's at today is, still going strong with Producers Wealth. So that company, this is its 10th year. And then the Cashflow Ninja, we're still cranking away and still trying to share some interesting alternative wealth strategies and alternative asset investing stuff. And there's a ton right now. So just having a lot of fun. And while I'm not doing this, I'm coaching my kids in sports, and just spending as much time as I can with my kids and my wife. So life doesn't suck. So.
MC, couple things. Number one, you say you enhance the financial well-being. I remember meeting you years ago, and I said to myself, you may be a little upset at me, another whole life guy. This is all he's focused on. I'm like, we're another dime a dozen trying to sell me a life policy. But that was my ignorance, because I didn't understand all of the, it really comes down to, that's just one tool in the tool belt. And it comes down to really creating that financial, as far as having that stability, having the base, having the foundation. What are some of the things as far as financial wealth that you see people are making mistakes on right now in this part of the market cycle?
No, I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, if you think about wealth, the biggest mistakes that folks are making right now, what I'm seeing too is thinking, well, let's take a step back. I'll give you a big picture quick here. And I've been talking about this quite a while. In 2008, 2009, a lot of people got burnt in Wall Street. And they got burnt because they felt that they lost full control of their capital. They trusted other people with their money. And then they're also, they were bag holders essentially. We know this, but they were bag holders when the rug pull came, and they were really pissed off. So they looked for other places to go to, and a lot of them found alternative asset investing. And they went to alternative asset investing space because they're like, well, I have no control. There's a whole bunch of
MC,
crooks
real
there.
quick, just for the folks out there, define alternative asset, for folks, because it's something that people may not fully, understand what you're saying.
Real assets, it's labeled alternative asset investing in the investing world, but this is just real things that have been assets for
But
centuries.
it makes it sound like second tier, or it's like this thing that like the weird people buy. So like
it annoys me too, because it's like real estate, land, this kind of stuff, gold, silver, things that are not mainstream, right? So
I guess mainstream is just the S&P 500 or something.
there
right?
you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So, but you're 100% correct. It annoys me when people are like, well, alts is what they call it in Wall Street. And I'm like, alts, really? It's like not to go off on a different tangent, but it's like self-directed retirement accounts, where in Wall Street, they're like, well, we offer self-direction. You could choose a Vanguard or a BlackRock or a State Street fund. You could self-direct.
But the language is intentional, though, and that's the point that I'm bringing that up. That it's branded alternative because it's outside the norm, and it's I think it's purposely created to keep people away from it, to keep everybody else in the machine, in the 401k system chugging along, because you don't want to be alternative and get out, because that's weird, right? That's like grunge music back in the late 80s. You probably smelled a little funny and you didn't do too well for yourself. So I think that what they're trying to do there.
Right. Exactly. So a lot of these things are branding, and we think in concepts and terms and narratives, so that they
and the
try
same
to
reason
that.
when you're getting into any financial space, there's a new word for everything that you already know what it is, but you don't know what that word is, and it's intimidating for the farmer or the guy and the blue collar guy in Main Street to enter that space because he doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. It makes him feel stupid. All by design, folks. But I digress.
100%. 100%. So when folks moved into our world, the alternative asset investing space, the thing that they didn't realize too is that they're still investing. You're still investing, and there's a different ecosystem here, but you find the same kind of things in the ecosystem. You could still lose control of your capital in the alternative asset ecosystem. You could also do business with nefarious characters. They're everywhere. It's not particularly just to one place. And you still have to do your due diligence. You can't, a lot of people took the same kind of mentality where I'm just going to find someone else. And my buddies, just like that stock tip I got from my buddy in the Wall Street world. Well, my buddy invested with this guy, so I just handed my money blindly to someone else, didn't do my due diligence, and they lost a ton of money too. So one of the biggest things that I've seen, mistakes that people make, is they making the exact same mistake that they did, just in a different ecosystem, in our ecosystem. And therefore, a lot of folks, unfortunately, have lost some money over the last couple of years because markets go up, down, and sideways. We had one heck of a run from 2012 to like the end of 2022. And now you've got to be a really good investor and really do your due diligence. So I think like that's one of the biggest things. And then I also see like,
so what's different right now? What ended at the end of 22 as an investor? What changed? Be specific.
Cheap money. That's the first thing that changed.
Cheap money and the interest rate spikes. So your interest
cheap money, or
like,
is it easy money? I think it's also easy money, right? Like people were more willing to, banks specifically, to give, and now they want a little the little pint of blood. They want to see really what's going on there. I've seen this shift.
Yeah, and you have to do different things during a market cycle too, and underwrite deals differently, right? And the deals that people were doing in 2021, 2022, and you guys see a ton come across your desk. I've seen a ton. I look at some of this stuff and I'm like, is this like, did you mix the dates up? Is this like 2012 that you're underwriting this stuff for? Like, it's you can't do the same thing over and over and expect the same results. The level of risk skyrocketed, and at that stage you had to think to yourself, well, if interest rates go up by X amount, what does this look like? Does this still pencil? And I think a lot of people just got used to the environment. It's that boiling frog
Well,
kind of
they were
analogy.
told that they can't go up, meaning the rates, and everything has changed since the rates have gone up, and then that's the story. At the end of the day, the rates have gone up, the game has changed.
Yep, that's it. And when somebody tells you nothing can happen, because I remember these conversations, oh, rates will never go back up again. Really? Never? Ever? Boy, so you have to underwrite your deals for whatever worst case scenario, and that was your worst case scenario, and it just didn't happen with investors, and private investors. Look at all the carnage that happened in the banking industry. They have people helping them out, and they can play around with their books a little bit to make it look better. But you had banks go under, and a lot of them would have gone under had they not gotten silent bailouts on the back. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people got caught off guard. I mean, look, yeah, the bond market specifically, that's where banks were holding their money. That got clobbered quite badly. So, yeah, that's one of the big things that I've seen with investing. It's it's you can't just do the same things over and over. And again, people have to expect that things are going to change, and there are similar things happening in both worlds, whether it's Wall Street and all the investment ecosystems outside of it.
MC, Jake was referring to us hanging out at the Rono Winery sipping champagne. And when you were there, you delivered, in my estimation, an intriguing, informative, entertaining, educational prezo on family offices. Now, this is important for anybody listening, because when anyone hears the word family office, they think of the Rockefellers, they think of the Stenzianos of the world. I mean, these guys have so much money. It's like, bro, I can't be a family office. But what I loved, what you touched upon, is a couple of things. I think the first thing is you can grow into the family office. And I don't think it's just the office itself. I think it's the mindset of wanting to be the family office. Can you go through that framework that you shared with us, the components that make a really healthy family office, and then some other tips and strategies on the family office?
Absolutely, and I think you just hit the nail on the head there about it's the mindset. It's the mindset of the family office. And side note, there was a great time shipping some champagne with you on a winery, so we got to do that more often. But it definitely is a mindset to it, because our philosophy is, my philosophy is, you don't have to be the Rockefellers to do what the Rockefellers do. You can have you can adopt mindsets, you can adopt strategies, you can adopt tactics, and obviously do it on a smaller scale, much smaller, but by modeling them and leveraging the information that you have and adopting similar things, I mean, the trajectory of your family's wealth and your legacy is I mean, it's exponential. What could result from that? So what I shared, too, and I also want to share this with your audience, is there's a basic framework of a family office. Now, family office is just a private wealth management firm that manages the family's wealth, a particular family. And there's different types, right? Multifamily offices, single family offices, but usually, a net worth of $50 million and up, you're going to run into a family office kind of strategy. But for folks that are between 0 and 50 million, they can do the exact same thing. They can implement a lot of these similar kind of pillars that I will share. One thing that I will share, we hit on the mindset. I want to share this story quick, is everybody when they talk about family offices, talk about the story of the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts, right? The two different families, they two different very outcomes. The Rockefellers kept the money together, and their wealth contractually multiplies with each and every generation. The Vanderbilts kind of, spread it around. Everybody ran in different corners of the world, all the heirs, and spend money on real estate. Not that there's a problem with that, trophy real estate. But the money wasn't kept together. And at the end, they weren't good stewards of capital. And, of the Vanderbilt just fortune. You still have Vanderbilt University. You still have the Biltmore estate. Gloria Vanderbilt is still the matriarch, but very few of their descendants are even millionaires. I think Anderson Cooper is like the most well-known one, currently still around. There's a story, and I'll just start because this ties into the mindset before I share the pillars. There's a story that goes around that Cornelius Vanderbilt, the Commodore, was on his deathbed, and his son was with him. And his son actually almost 10x'd his empire, by the way. So it's the third generation, again, back to, that where things really started going south. But his son was in the room with him. And allegedly, apparently, some people say, insert newspeak phrase here, allegedly, he said on his deathbed to his son, keep the family's money together. And I always look at that and I said, what if he said, keep the family together? And if he kept the family together and maintained strong family bonds, the result would have been that the capital would have been kept together, and it would have been much easier. Because I look at that as the glue. So I just wanted to share that as the mindset. And that ties into the pillars, because the first pillar that I shared is legacy assets. So legacy assets is like a statement of purpose of the family. Why are we doing this? Just like the Declaration of Independence for the United States. The why. Then you've got the family constitution, which is the how. You have the core family values within legacy assets. You have a family crest. If you're from European descent, you could probably find it online. We created our own one in our family too, which was a lot of fun. Brings the family together. Our kids are still young; they loved it, and we share our core values of the family on that crest. So there's something that symbolizes one of our core values. So there's like a lion sitting on top of it, which is one of our values of courage, always to have courage and stand for what you believe in. And then you can have legacy files. Now, what's that? Blogs, articles, podcasts, videos. You could create this library for your family and share ideas, mindsets, things that you've learned, mistakes that you've learned. How much would this be worth to someone? I think about this the other day. If my grandparents and my great-grandparents just left me a whole bunch of things not to do, which they did, and it didn't work, like how much learning time would that already cut down for you? Like, don't do this. This doesn't work. Don't do this. Don't do this. Because you can't make all the mistakes out there. So if somebody gives you kind of like a shortcut, an intellectual shortcut, that'd be great. Then you could also tie in stuff with the legacy library, of writing about certain aspects of your of life and what it means to you, so that your family knows what you think about it. And like, for example, Lifebook has got a fantastic program where you can write 12 different things to phases of life, whether it be health and your marriage and relationships and all that kind of stuff. You can write it all down and share all of your ideas and so forth. So these are the things that doesn't cost you a cent. And with AI right now, you can even utilize AI in creating a lot of these things. And I'm not telling you to go to AI and have AI do your thinking for you. What I am telling you is take your ideas, let's just say your core values and all the things that you want to incorporate into something, and put that into a statement of purpose or a family constitution. It's a great tool to utilize. Let me pause there just for 1 second and see if you guys have anything to share, and then I'll share the other four pillars.
I'll defer to Jake first, but I've got a couple of ideas as well.
Well, no, it's the one thing that pops into my head is really funny. So Gino and I actually don't take investment capital for our real estate. It's all just internally. And the thing that's really sprung out of our company is that we've really become a family office and have incorporated all these things, not knowing what we were doing. Essentially, we're running a family office, not knowing that we're running a family office, but we've incorporated all of these things along the way. And it's a multifamily office. Essentially, we do some land, and we're tinkering with development a little bit, but it's all based around multifamily legacy, type assets, and all of this, groundwork that you're discussing, we've implemented and coaching our kids up on it. So it's just funny that, especially getting into the business, I've heard the term family office and these different things. And, you look back, 10, 15 years, you're like, oh shit, that's us. So it's kind of cool. And I love it. Right. I think it's a great model. So
MC, Jake had sent me a video on Instagram. We're like two little girls. We send each other messages on Instagram. And he actually sent me one about starting NFL quarterbacks winning the Super Bowl. And I think every quarterback in the NFL that's won a Super Bowl has had a mother and a father. They've come from two-parent households. Now, I'm not here to diminish.
I knew that one would be a
households.
tearjerker for Gino.
Well, for me, it's very important. The word, when people throw around the word family, they discount it and they don't really give it the value and the importance that it should. The difficulty of having a husband and wife stay married together, it's not easy. It's very challenging. But what it does for the family and for the children, it gives them the identity. It gives them the health of what a relationship should look like, what love should look like. Love is really hard because sometimes it's you have to do it. It's not just an emotion. It's something that you have to do every day. And I think if you can model that for your family, and I think that's what Cornelius was trying to say on his deathbed, allegedly, let's keep the family together. Let's not grow and have these children be entitled. Let them know what the generation before did for that work. But let's teach them the business. Let's teach them to become really good stewards of money. I'll just defer to David Green, the founder of Hobby Lobby. I like to have his legacy and to do what he's doing. He's creating dollars and making money to glorify God. And he's teaching his kids his values, and it permeates throughout the whole entire culture of his organization and his family. Now, you may believe or not believe what David Green is doing. I wholeheartedly agree with his mission and his culture and his core values. But I think if you want to have a really, impactful family office, don't wait to start to have $10 or $20 million. You just start today with the statement of purpose, with the Constitution, with the core values, with the family crest, with the legacy file. Start with one at a time and start adopting it, because that mindset will get you there. You don't just show up one day with $50 million. You show up with a crappy little 25-unit apartment complex called the Shamrock Motel. And then you look back and 12 years later, you're like, how do we have 1,800 units? How did that happen? It's because you started and you just figured it out. And then along the way, you met people like MC doing his podcast and met other people and started adopting different habits and started just continuing to reinvest. So my whole thing is, if you're going to start, just start small. And MC, do you have a book? At least let them share the book of where they can start getting all this knowledge. That's really important to me. Right?
Get Wealthy for Sure is the book, the number one financial strategy for business owners to multiply wealth predictably. So they could get it at getwealthyforsure.com. We're doing like a free paperback copy, just pay for shipping promotion right now. So it's at getwealthyforsure.com. So I appreciate you letting me share that.
It's important because, listen, stop going to Starbucks for the next day. Pay for the shipping, pay the $6 for the shipping. It'll be probably the best investment you'll make all year, because it will give you the idea. Like, you don't know where to start on this podcast. It's great. But if you just have that statement of purpose, why are you making money? David Green knows why. He's glorifying God. I know why I'm making money. I'm making money to create impact and to change the world one family at a time. That's what my mission is. What's your mission, right? The Constitution, our core values, people first, make it happen, extreme ownership, growth mindset, unwavering ethics. That's what our core values are. It's just starting and getting clear, because most of us don't lack motivation. We lack the clarity. And once you do have the clarity on your life and what your life wants, what you want your wife to look like at the end of your life, if you can have that clarity and reverse engineer
what you
it.
want your wife to look like at the end of your life? That's a Freudian slip right there, if I ever seen it. Right? Like,
Dude, she's looking. My wife's still looking good. I think she's gonna be looking good into her 70s. I got no problem with that. But what you want your life to look at, it's important, right? Stephen Covey says, "Start with the end in mind." If you can start with the end in mind by picking up MC's book and diving into these important topics, doing the work is hard. Everybody, not doing the work is even harder. And if you're just going around life
it
mindlessly,
gets easier. That's the hard thing for people to understand. When you actually set this stuff up, Gino's 100% right. The clarity will set you free, and then it's rinse and repeat. At that point, it gets much easier. It's the creativity and the production on the front end that stalls and hampers so many people. So just pull up your pants and get the damn work done, and your life will be easier in the long run.
now I gotta pull my pants now. How do you know my pants are down? Huh? You know me well, don't you?
Dude, because you're Mr. Underwear on the podcast. I know you, dude.
I mean, to your point, just get started, and then the other stuff is just be intentional. This stuff doesn't cost you any money. Like, this is what I love about coaching sports with my kids too. We go into a dugout and there's trash in the dugout that somebody else left there. We're picking up the trash before we even get started, and at the end, and people are like, "Well, it's not ours." It's like, it doesn't matter. The principle.
Yeah, we're
is
not going to live in filth.
we
Come on.
always leave places better than when we found it. It's one of the principles, that we teach. So why would we leave it there? If we stand for something, like we always leave something better than we found it, then how do we leave a bunch of trash in a dugout, that's not ours, and just walk away from that and feel good about it? That's not us. That's not who we are. So that kind of stuff doesn't cost any money. So you can already start that. And, I'll tie into I'll bring the other ones together, and I'll pause at the last one, because I think that ties into the first one, the first pillar and the last pillar. So the first pillar is legacy assets. Then the second one is one of the easier pillars, and people will kind of like roll their eyes when I tell them what it is, but it's the legal, tax, and insurance structures. If you're working with great professionals and have great teams, that's the easy part of all of the structures. The third one is the family bank, and that's essentially, we talk a ton about that stuff in my world, how to structure a family bank. But essentially, the family bank is the mechanism that finances everything that the family needs, whether it's operating businesses or grow and scale the family's investment portfolio. And the family bank is there too to provide opportunity, not just give money to trust fund babies. So you actually there's rules of this family bank of what the money may be used for, and then there's also a life insurance strategy behind it, where all the family members have life insurance issued on them that's owned by the family bank, and obviously have infinite banking policy structured that way. So why is it done that way? Well, yeah, there's money for education, starting up businesses, real estate, all the things that you find important, even philanthropic purposes. If somebody wants to start a philanthropic organization. And then also, we're very blessed with our health. Very, very blessed. But there's some people that are not blessed with their health. They have issues, right? There's people with certain disabilities, and the chances are these days, if you look at the statistics, that there's probably going to be somewhere in your family that is going to happen. It's the unfortunate reality that a lot of families are facing. So how do you deal with that? How do you provide for that individual that cannot provide for himself, right? So that could be in there. But then also, I just want to hit on one other thing. There's a strategy. It's called the Rockefeller method, the waterfall method. But if you, through proper insurance planning, you can contractually multiply the wealth of the family through the family bank with each and every generation. So that's a very, very core part of it. The fourth part of it is asset management. And that's just, again, mindset thinking. Everybody has a different approach to investing, risk tolerances, and so forth. But investing as a family, when it's no longer your money, but you're a steward of the capital of the family, you're now thinking of 100 years plus. You're thinking of 3, 4, 5, 6 generations down the line. I shared with you, Gino, that Jim Rogers said the one time when I was interviewing him, he said, "MC, if you can only invest in 5 things your entire life, what would it be?" That would change your thinking a little bit, right? And I'm like, yeah, that would change my thinking a little bit. And if you want to invest for something for 100 years, what would you invest in? So that takes away all the fads and the doggy meme coins. And it's not even doggy meme coins anymore. It's like, presidential meme coins, barstool
Dude,
meme
that would
coins.
have been a good one to get in on, right?
Yeah.
Little Trump coin, man. Now, Gino, you might have sold me on that one. Like the first night it came out, that seemed to do pretty well.
It's actually interesting. You remember that art that I don't even forget what it was called now. That art NFP. What was that art?
NFTs, yeah.
NFTs. I mean, like those things, non-fun. They were all the rage. Everyone was going in this.
They even out there
virtual
anymore?
reality. I have no idea. It was just stupid money. It was that Jake, that get there-itis when you're seeing everyone else doing, what you don't
I
wanna
felt
miss
stupid
out.
because everyone's like, "Oh, NFTs, next thing." I'm like, I don't get it, and it's like,
I felt stupid until I found out a lot of people lost money on the Hawk Tuah girls meme coin, and then I'm like, I'm not so stupid anymore.
yeah. I think she made some money though.
Yeah, and and then the fifth pillar is just a family mastermind. So that really ties into the second one, connects really nice. And there's a book, The Five Men from Frankfurt, and it's about the Rothschilds and basically the Rothschild patriarch sending his sons to all the financial centers of Europe to start up Rothschild family banks, and they would all get together once a year in a family mastermind to make sure that everybody is in alignment on values, vision for the family. We're still tracking. Our statement of purpose is still good. Our constitution, everything is in place, and then share best practices and enjoy each other's company. That's really keeping the family together. If you have a family that's aligned and having fun together and enjoying each other's company, and you're fostering all these other relationships of all the family members, keeping it together is going to be much, much easier than if you're just throwing it to, up in the air and see what happens. So you have to be very intentional about it. So I think, again, it's not in the rank of importance. I think that one's a very important one, the family mastermind. And you could start this at any age. My kids were, when we started playing kids Monopoly, my daughter was like 5 when she was like ready to burst into tears and telling me, I hate paying taxes. I'm like, this is great. The family mastermind is working, and she's just 5. So it's a good lesson to learn early on, honey.
It's great to teach your kids when they're 9 years old what a mortgage is. And I can actually borrow money on this property, flip it over, and buy this next one. Yes, you can. Wow. But that's not my money. That's the idea. Understanding what leverage and how to utilize it at a young age shifts the mentality, because they don't have the money. It's not the lack of money that will not make you prosperous. It's the lack of being able to create value and the lack of being able to think outside this box that they've drawn for you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And obviously there's different things that you can do for different age kids, and of course adult kids, different conversations. But we take 4 vacations a year together as a family, and we are intentional that 1 or 2 of those days, if we take like a week, that is very focused on all of our family mastermind kind of stuff. So it's the Cashflow board games and Monopoly for kids, and talking about what's important. And for me, sports is easy to use as a tool to teach them lessons, right? How we never gave up. Remember that game? How it sucked and it was hot and these guys are kicking our butt, but we hung in there, and we came back into the game, and eventually like that kind of stuff, and using those kind of scenarios as lessons to teach. So it's a ton of fun. And then again, this stuff, you don't have to be a Rockefeller to do what they do. You could start small and utilize this framework and then kind of grow into it. And of course, when you get to the really legal tax and insurance frameworks, those things change as you evolve, so with your team. But most of these things, it doesn't cost you any money, actually, the majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, guys, let's take a quick time out here from our sponsor.
This episode of the Jake and Gino podcast is brought to you by Wheelbarrow Profits, the premier multifamily education community. Wheelbarrow Profits proof is in their results. Their members have closed over 86,000 units. That's over $5 billion in student deal volume. Are you serious about taking your real estate game to the next level? Do you have the confidence to take action? Schedule a call with the Wheelbarrow Profits team today and supercharge your real estate knowledge. Build lasting relationships through unparalleled networking opportunities. Obtain lasting knowledge on how to buy multifamily real estate with intensive training. Gain hands-on experience through their live events with like-minded individuals and industry professionals, all while experiencing the personal touch and family atmosphere that set them apart. Visit wheelbarrowprofits.com for more information.
All right, we are back. So anything, MC, in the last year or so that has added value to your life? Any books, any podcasts, anything you want to share with the folks?
That's a very, very good question. Yeah, you know what? I've done a ton of reading, and I love to read. And there's a couple of books that I read every year, so I always read. Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read Robert Kiyosaki's book every year. I find something new in it every year. It's funny how that happens. It sounds so cliche-ish to say. Well, when the students are ready, the teacher appears, and I was one of those guys that rolled my eyes. But I could tell you. You find different things in it. So there's some books that I reread, but you know what I've really
Any
found
oil and gas for you? Anything like that?
Oil and gas?
Yeah.
I have it in my portfolio.
Man, because I just saw Landman, and I'm like, dude, if I was doing multifamily, I'd love a couple oil wells. This looks like a lot of fun.
Stay away, Jake.
Dude, I don't know, Gino. I like the water. I like the oil. I like the real estate. Oh man, that could be interesting. So
yeah, if you talk about asset classes too, like some of the stuff that I'm looking at too, what I find interesting is, and this is before the announcements with the Trump administration, but I was looking at this data center kind of trend that's happening. It's funny, Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary spilled the beans on an interview. He was getting, he was having a meltdown about something. Something that's happening in Canadian politics or something that was happening around here. But he was he basically said, how am I supposed to raise all this capital for the projects that I'm in right now? And my big project is data centers. And this was about a year and a half ago. And I go, oh, so you're all over that too. So there's already been a big trend in that. And, if you see where this is all going, what is it? 500, was it 500 billion that the Trump administration has allocated for data centers?
So here's what's going to happen. They're going to sell off these federal office buildings. And then Elon's going to buy them for like 20 cents on the dollar. And then he's going to pack them full of these data centers. Nice little play.
Wouldn't mind that. Save a ton of money. Give him a break. He's doing it. So
I love the idea of them selling off all this, this dead inventory. Sell it and pay down the debt. Let's go. So,
yeah, I mean, it's going to be extremely exciting this next year, and one of the things that I'm looking at too. You're saying some of the stuff that you're looking at. If you think about Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and this is interesting, that before both of them went into politics, everybody would nod and agree and say, wow, these are probably two of the biggest disruptors ever. Like in our lifetime, for sure. I mean, every industry that Trump went into, he disrupted, whether it's real estate. I mean, reality TV changed. He changed the game there. And Elon's the same thing, whether it's electric cars or even before that, PayPal, how about we send some money to people with emails? There's an idea. So these guys are, and then he's doing a lot of stuff with SpaceX, Starlink, very disruptive technologies. They break a lot of rice bowls with the stuff that they're into. So to having them take charge of a bureaucracy that this should have happened such a long time ago. Look how big and inefficient this just massive bureaucracy is.
Well, I think the will of the people is there as well, because I think there's a lot of people in Congress kicking and screaming about foreign aid and things like that, but I think the folks at home don't support it. Something like 70% or something like that, and it's like you look they want their country taken care of first, and you can't take care of others until you take care of yourself. And we're a mess. We don't know where the money's going. It's a complete shit show right now. So it needs to be buttoned up, and there needs to be accountability, and you need to know how to reconcile this shit. And I don't think we're there right now.
I don't think the will of the people has ever been in question. I think the mechanism with corporate media tamping down and not being able to actually share the will of the people legally. I mean, let's say, like, even not to get political, but 80% of people now think that girls shouldn't be in boy sports. Over 80%. Like, there's very few topics in this country that, and CNN was shocked. Well, they never reported on it because they tamped it down. Don't you think that most of the people, if they found out where the USAID money was going to, would have been up in arms? They just never knew about it because no one ever talked about it. And that's the amazing thing with the way corporate media is being totally dismantled now. It's now, let's have these honest conversations. I think I can speak for you, Jake. We don't want USAID to go away. We just want the rampant and inefficient money laundering to go away. Maybe their budget should be.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, you got to look at where these kickbacks are going. There's no way the amount of money that's being spent on these projects is actually going to these projects, right? And you know, there's hey, here it goes. And dude, look, I don't know. I don't even remember what the numbers are that went to Ukraine, but like half of it's available to them, or they have it. And so where's the rest of it? Come on, guys. Like, it's just ridiculous. So.
I'm originally from South Africa, so I have a very different take on foreign aid too. And I know that is, you know, in this conversation now being a big part of it. Well, it's foreign aid. You know, I can tell you that 98%, maybe 99% of foreign aid, it's all a scam. So the money just goes to wealthy.
It's a boomerang.
Yeah, it just goes to the wealthy.
It's a money
people.
laundering boomerang. It goes out, and then a bunch of it comes back. Right.
And it hits the wealthy in other countries. So if you look at African countries, if you look at the amount of foreign aid that Africa actually gets every single year, you shouldn't have poverty in any of those countries whatsoever.
Well, that's the word on the street right now, that the wealthy in Ukraine are bawling right now because they're all getting paid off. Yeah.
That goes straight to the top 1% in all of those countries. It never it goes to the ground. You know, Ron Paul used to joke and say that foreign aid is basically money going from, you know, the poor and the middle class in rich Western countries to the rich and poor countries in Africa and, you know, Asia and the Middle East. And he was 100% spot on. That's exactly what happens.
Because what's the oversight once it gets there? You're sending money to corrupt countries. What's the oversight of it getting down to the people? Are we overseeing it?
No. And most of that too is just influence. You know, most of it is peddling influence. Vote with us on the next UN vote, with X, Y, and Z, that kind of stuff. But I think, you know, from an investor standpoint, if we're to tie it in, if you're listening to this, I think there's going to be a ton of opportunities because I think this will.
So you said data centers. What else are you liking in 25?
You know, there's a couple of people building up warehouse spaces and buying them up, not building them up, buying them up. And I don't know if it ties into the data center play, but there are a lot of people getting into warehouses right now too, empty warehouses, and converting them for different purposes and different uses. So that's an interesting play. I mean, data centers, warehouses. I'm trying to think of stuff that is very, very ugly right now too, that nobody wants to touch. There's probably going to be some.
It's office space.
Well, yeah. I
don't know why. I'm not going that far. You know, I said ugly. I said not like hideous, right?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's yeah. I could. If you have
I had
a plan
2 beers
for it,
and have 8.
work.
MC said
it could work if you have a plan for it. It's not going to be a WeWork. Don't buy it and start a WeWork.
Yeah.
What do you guys see? What are some of the stuff that you guys are seeing?
Oh, dude, we don't veer. We're just, you know, we look for quality multifamily assets that, you know, we feel are priced appropriately, right? And it's so simple. That's why we only do 2-3 deals a year. You know, we're pretty selective. Look for, you know, newer stuff. Ultimately. You know, kind of because early on as we're, you know, through our come up, we were buying a lot of 70s and 80s, and we'll still look at that, right? It's just got to, you know, a lot of it got, you know, overpriced, and so we started to diversify in the sense of shifting to newer class assets to diversify our portfolio. That's the kind of how our take on diversification. So that's, you know, that's what we're looking at.
It's a function of the market cycle, like you said before, MC. The market cycle several years ago allowed you to buy an older asset at a reduced price, a higher cap rate. And then we're hoping that in this part of the market cycle, you have these newer assets that are trading at relatively decent cap rates, knowing that they're operationally inefficient. We can raise rents, we can increase net operating income, and 2 or 3 years from now, we'll be happy because it's a new asset. Now, if you're going to go into an older asset now, just be aware that cap rate, unfortunately, has to be about 2 or 3 points.
A lot of those have
above.
traded. They're stuck on a higher price. It just doesn't make as much sense. And our efficiencies come through our vertical integration and our operational efficiencies. So.
Yeah. So I think just understanding where you are in the market cycle in our space, it's important. Office space would be great. If you can buy a property that's 30% occupied and you're buying it on actual numbers and thinking that you can actually fill it up and increase NOI, that's a great play. I mean, just don't go in there thinking or not understanding the business plan or understanding demographics and the whole idea.
Yeah, some of this stuff that's traded,
it.
$100 million 10 years ago, and it's now going for like $5 million. You're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know what's interesting? I was actually looking for office space for my one company, and we've been completely virtual for 10 years, but we actually grew a lot locally. So I was looking at that, and there are deals out there, but it's just very interesting to still see where how sellers value their properties and the lack of flexibility in negotiations. I'm like, really, this is interesting. So that was fascinating.
Well, they might be stuck too, right?
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Yeah, that's the other thing. And I appreciate how laser focused you guys are too. It's the same thing with me. So I always keep my eyes on everything to understand what's happening. But I also am the same kind of thing. We've just been investing in our business for the past 3 years because I felt like that would be the biggest return for us. Nothing else outside made sense. I always talk about. A lot of people have FOMO, especially with assets and investing.
NTFs or whatever the hell they were, right?
Yeah,
NFTs.
I've got JOMO. I've got joy of missing out. I look at that and I'm like, you put money in that, good for you. I've got JOMO on that one. There's no FOMO in me.
I got a little, after I heard Dave Portnoy, I think he pulled $500,000 out of Trump coin. I had a little FOMO on that one, but I'm over it. So, all right, Gino, you ready to take us home?
I do. I've got some notes for this one because as I was listening to MC talk about his statement of purpose and his pillars, he starts out and over 20 years ago emigrates to the country. He's not from Pennsylvania. He's from South Africa, everybody. He starts the Cashflow Ninja podcast back in 2017, right around the time Jake and Gino were born out of the ashes. I'm sure he didn't even know what a podcast was because I know Jake and I didn't know what a podcast was back then. But the important part, and I think the most, for me, the highlight of the show was the mindset and creating and not waiting to start your family office, really with the statement of purpose, the Constitution, the core values, the family crest, which would be a really fun homeschooling project for the Stenzianos to do, and the legacy files. And then getting over to the pillars where you're creating your legacy assets. If you want to invest in crypto and make it your legacy assets, we're not here to tell you not to do that. Just understand what your legacy assets are. You have the legal and tax insurance structures. You've got the family bank, the asset management, and ultimately the family mastermind. And ultimately, it's not just about diverting assets and creating this whole entire family office. I think the most important word in that whole statement is the family. Trying to keep the family together and cohesive and passing down the legacy and the values that you're creating today into the next generation. As legacy is, you're a gardener planting a seed that you may never see sprout, but it's your duty as the gardener to be a steward of that, water that seed, nurture that seed, and hopefully one day the next generation will enjoy it.
Gino the farmer. Well said, dude. Gang, as always, we believe in buying deals for the long term. Think in decades. I'm Jake. He is the G Daddy. We make it happen. We'll see you next time.